Use your mind, you better think. You better think. Think it through, you better think. You better think. You better think. Are you a zombie? You better think. Use your mind, don't be a follower. You better think. Yeah, I like that.
Welcome to You Betta Think, hosted by Cass Allen and the poetess Chanelle. For those of you who are just joining us, the topic today is relationships. And as you know, poetess Chanelle is going to grace us with some of her work. Let's start by welcoming her to the show. Hello, poetess Chanelle. How are you today?
Hi, I'm doing wonderful. And you?
I'm doing well. Good to speak with you as always.
Yes, yes, as well. You as well. Yes.
So
Today was a very good day. Hmm?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I said it's very cold outside today.
Oh, it is brutal out there today. This is
Yes, it
one of those days where I say a lot of relationships are either going through because they're in the house arguing or they're either in the house snuggling.
cuddling.
I like the snuggle cuddles.
Yes, snuggling, cuddling, or arguing, honey.
Yeah, like you said, one or the other.
Right, right. This is one of those days where you just have your soup, your hot cocoa, you watch a movie under the covers. Yes, this is one of those days.
I totally agree with you. So hopefully a lot of you out there today are enjoying that type of day. It doesn't have to be a romantic partner. It could be a grandkid, a parent, just having cozy, warm feelings in the house, having healthy relationships as we've been talking about.
Exactly. Healthy relationship does not necessarily mean a partner. It can be with a family member. It can be with a friend. There's different aspects of relationships and types of relationships.
And I have a friend, he's an author. We worked together a while ago. His name is Manish Patel. And I recently spoke to him and I talked about him on the show a few episodes ago. But to get into what how he's relevant now, he wrote a book called The Second Childhood, which I find to be amazing, which discusses the relationship between parent and child during the later years. And he spoke of how important relationships are, whether it's a relationship with a parent or whomever. But he broke it down really well what he felt about relationships. He spoke to the ship. He said a ship is a place where you trade goods, and basically in a relationship you're trading emotions. And you want a good deal. Regardless of who it is. What do you think about that, poetess?
I never read his book, but I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when you get older, when you're younger, a lot of times you take relationships for granted. And as you get older, you realize that if you have like a relationship where this person was there for you, where this person never did wrong to you, this person has been there for you through thick and thin, you have to value these kinds of relationships because nowadays it's really hard to find meaningful relationships, not one based on being superficial. So I think that as you get older, the relationships that you get in becomes less and less
Mm.
because you get to see, when you get older, you look past certain things. You look past the looks. You look past the, oh, we got a lot in common, but are you really down for me?
Mm.
Like, are you really my friend? If something goes down, are you going to be there for me? If I hit a rough spot, can I come to you for help? Will you make fun of me if tragedy hits me? Will you be happy or will you be with me to try to help me get through it? These are the type of things that I look at now. now that I've gotten older.
Into some great points. And like you said, unfortunately, you know, a lot of people bite the hand that feeds them and ruin the relationship.
That is true.
And
That is
as we
very true.
speak on the positive and you know the negative effects of this out to the audience, as you know, we always bless with some words by the poetess Chanelle, and a lot of people find her to be quite engaging and charming because she speaks to you know more than one side of the fence when she discusses her works. It's never painted as a happy picture or sad or mad picture. It's just the reality of it all. So I know you all are just, you know, clustering and waiting for her to set it off because she normally starts the poem earlier. So are you ready to wet us, Miss Poetess, with some words?
Yes, I am. All right.
Bring it.
All right. This is called Relationship. This poem, I wrote this poem because I was going through a lot around this time and I was getting closer to the Most High. So I just decided to write something. So here we go. Relationship. My relationship with the Most High, filled with hills and valleys, there by my side, even though I am not worthy. I humble myself before his throne. He put me in my place when I thought I was grown. Even though adult in age, my mindset was still in a baby stage. Things about myself he brought to light, ugliness and pride hidden in hindsight. Putting my body under subjection and restriction is no easy feat. The enemy tries to refresh my mind with past lies and deceit. And furthermore, giving my body to the wrong people caused me so much trauma and defeat. I thank the Most High, even though it's hard. Those past desires left so many scars. Growing mature in all areas of my life, now I will be wise to who I let in my life. So I thank the Most High who opened my eyes. Now I won't be deceived by good looks and smiles. Looking past surface is something I learned. This is so important so I won't get burned. Thank you, Most High, for our relationship. Wisdom, I seek her on a daily basis. Not perfect, but I try to be good. Thank you for accepting me because I am misunderstood. Bang.
Thank you, Poetess, for another great work. As we were mentioning earlier, when we spoke of relationship, it goes everywhere, you know. And as the poetess Chanelle just told you all, you know, many of us have a relationship with the higher power, a spiritual connection, a person or an entity, if you will, out there beyond ourselves. It's not just human to human relationship. You know, we even have relationships with our animals, you know.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. You
And I
know me
bring
and my,
that up. The poetess Chanelle loves animals.
you know me and my cats, honey. I miss my baby Butterscotch. That was my baby. We were so close when I lived in East New York. And he was my baby. He would sleep under my head, under my chin. He was we were very close. He would go everywhere with me in the house. He would walk everywhere with me. I go to the bathroom, he go to the bathroom. He would just follow me. He loved me so much. He did. So we had a relationship. We had like a close relationship. And he's an animal. And sometimes people think animals don't have feelings, but animals do have feelings and emotions, just like people.
I completely agree. And to go even further into relationships, some of you know, the poetess and I worked on a project together named The Rendezvous. And the premise of the film is just about that, relationships, you know. We speak to whether or not looks matter and whether or not the past matters because people are trying to form current relationships. Just for those of you who are just joining us, there are these two characters who decide to go on an experiment, one is visible to the other, yet the other is invisible. And to find out if it's possible to develop relationship based on spirit more so than the outer being. We're blessed today to have a few of the cast members on the show, including myself and the poetess. I'm not going to mention the rest of them until they appear, but poetess, as a main character in this wonderful film that came out this year, The Rendezvous,
Mhm.
you were involved in quite a few relationships. Some some good, some challenging. Tell us a little bit about, like, from your character's point of view, how relationship played into your role. Like, did you pull on your real life relationships to help you, or did you just think about real relationships with the characters that you were playing against?
I would say both.
Okay.
I use some of my personal experience and then I pull from the character.
Okay.
You know, Miss Faye's, she tries to fix something, and she tries to fix one situation and just makes things kind of messy. But sometimes we try to hide things. We try to hide things and try to fix them, and then they come out anyway.
That's a
You know.
wonderful point.
Mm-hmm.
And just for
Yes.
a moment, you all hear the poetess Chanelle say Miss Faze, the character that she plays in the film is named Velma Faze.
Yes, Miss Velma Faze. Yes, Miss Velma Faze. She tries to hide, a part of her life because she felt like she could fix it before the other party will find out. But it came out and it didn't come out very nicely. So we could learn a lesson from that. When you try to hide things and you're not honest from the beginning, sometimes it comes back to bite you.
That's a great
And that's
point.
exactly what happened with Miss Faze
And it can
in
put
the
the
movie.
relationship in jeopardy, wouldn't you say?
Yes, put the relationship in jeopardy because the other character was not having it. So, Velma Faze's date,
Right.
the person she was dating, was not really having that. So if you look at the movie, if you go look at the movie, you will understand more of what I'm trying to say. Velma, she's a very strong woman. She thinks, she tries to do things her way all the time. But this time it got messy. It got messy for her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it did.
And speak to the character that you were playing against was actually dating someone else at the time of meeting you in the film. Like, how did that relationship play into your relationship with your person of interest? Did you have any trust issues or?
Yeah. Okay. So I did not know the person of interest who I was dating other people at the time because Curio, the character, was not honest. So later on, I'm finding out Curio's dating this person, and I said, "Excuse me." It kind of caused a little bit of trust issues, but it in the end it was straightened out. It was straightened out in the end.
Is that because of good communication? Speaking of relationships, I think relationships are based on communication. How, whether it's smoke and mirrors or truth.
Yes, I
Did you
agree.
did you reach a point where you two had to talk through that in order to have a healthier relationship? Do you think that
Yes, we had
communication
to.
is key?
Communication is the number one thing in a relationship because without that, the relationship will fall apart.
Hmm.
We communicated we decided to be mature and communicate and talk to each other like two grown adults, with no arguing, with no demeaning each other. We decided to be adults about the situation and have a discussion. And as you will see in the movie, audience, that we even went to counseling. So Velma and Curio, they tried to work through their communication issues and whatever barriers they were facing in their relationship. So yes, communication is the number one thing in a relationship. You can't get around that.
You heard that,
Good.
ladies and gentlemen, and others. Communication is critical to a relationship. You're listening to You Betta Think, hosted by the poetess Chanelle and Cass Allen, and we'll be right back.
Use your mind, you better think. You better think. Think through.
Hello, everyone out in the audience. Welcome back to You Betta Think, hosted by the poetess Chanelle and Cass Allen. As I mentioned to you earlier today, we're being blessed with some of the cast members of the film The Rendezvous, which is a hot topic in regards to relationships. And right now, we'd like to welcome to the air a woman who's playing a very interesting role in the film. Her actual name is Bettye Williams, and she plays a character named Raquel, who is pregnant by a married man. Welcome, Bettye.
Hello, hello. How is everybody?
Great.
All is well. Thank you for joining us on the show today. We're very excited to have you.
Yes, we are.
Thank you.
So I'm
Thank
just
you.
going to
It's a
get
pleasure
right
being here.
into it for the audience. Bettye, as I said, plays a character who is dating a man who's married, even though he allegedly is not with his woman. And she's managed to get pregnant by this man. And as we speak to relationships, Bettye, you know, and we speak of your character, I understand this is not your real life and so far as what is going on in this film, but in order to relate to the character, like what kind of relationship did you have to pull from to convince yourself that it was okay to be in a position like this?
That's a good one. But I look at it like connection, most of the things. You know, it's about connecting with a person. Yes, we all come with baggage. We all come with situations and circumstances. But that shouldn't count somebody out because of it. So that's how I would look at that situation. It's unfortunate that, you know, the circumstance played out where he is married and, you know, he had somebody, but, you know, we decided to have a family. And that's what it was, you know, despite situation and circumstances.
And you speak to a perfect model of, you know, another element of the film, which is, does the past matter? And you're basically saying it can, but it also may not, depending on what's going on in the current. Would you agree with that?
I agree. You got to have things staying in a then and there while we in the here and now. You know what I'm saying? But then again, those then and there's do creep in the here and now. Have we seen on the film?
Absolutely. Poetess Chanelle, what's going through your head while we're having this discussion?
There's a couple of things going through my head. As it relates to the film. So Bettye, you said that, you know, some things, you know, it depends on the situation, right?
Yes.
In regards to as it relates to your character. Now, when there was a piece in the movie where the wife, your boyfriend's wife, she disclosed something very serious. She basically said that they were still married and she had a miscarriage. How did you feel about that?
Well, as a woman to woman, I'm definitely, you know, have sympathetic, sympathy about that, because a life is very serious to somebody, and to be able to carry a life full term, to see that face is definitely a blessing. But at the same time, not to be jagged, you know, that was an unfortunate situation for them. Now he's in a new situation, and that's just how the universe laid it out.
Okay. So you feel that it had nothing to do with you, and it has nothing to do with you, and you just don't care because it's just a jagged situation because you have your baby. You are getting ready to have his baby, correct?
Yes, yes. I stand on that. It's harsh. It's hard to hear, but at the same time, I didn't have any hand in that life that he led with the wife, so I can't really put too much emotion into it, especially when they wasn't together. She was living her lifestyle the way she wanted to live her lifestyle, but she wanted to come and go as she pleased on his end. So he should have definitely he should have definitely had some type of a situation where they had an understanding that yes, you still do have a portion of this home, but I am in this home. You have to respect what goes on in this home when I'm here. But that's here nor there. It played out the way it did.
Ladies and gentlemen, without giving it all away, I'm sure you all are leaning forward, taking an extra sip on your cocktails and slamming on your popcorn. I suggest you go to the site and you can go right to our page and you can go anywhere that we exist and find the links to this film. It's called The Rendezvous, RENDEZVOUS. Type Chanelle, type Cass, type Betty, type any of us to connect us to the film. Type Raheem from Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, Dewey Dockery, and so forth. It is a very engaging film about relationships, as you hear. The poetess Chanelle here and Bettye Williams engaging in conversation about a relationship that was formed between her character and another character who is married and claiming that it's over. So, Bettye Williams, we thank you immensely for joining us to talk a little bit about the film. We don't want to give too much of it away, but your character is played in an awesome way. For those of you who are not aware, this film is a masterpiece of ad-libbing, and everyone is bringing right on the spot what they're feeling about the situations and events that are occurring. And both of these people, Poetess Chanelle and Bettye Williams, do a tremendous job of portraying the characters that are assigned to them. So again, thank you for joining us today, Ms. Williams, and thank you, Poetess Chanelle, for your very interesting questions that you delivered today. We'll be right back.
Don't be a zombie. Don't be a zombie. Don't be a zombie. Don't be a zombie. You better think. You better think.
Welcome back to You Betta Think, hosted by the poetess Chanelle and Cass Allen. For those of you who are just joining us, the topic this month is relationships. And we have the wonderful pleasure of having cast members from a newly released movie named The Rendezvous appear on the show this month. The Rendezvous is a film which contains a lot of relationships, good, bad, and indifferent. And we've decided to explore it for several reasons. One is because we're connected to the project, and two is because we're connected to the cast. So we have the privilege of being able to bring on all these ad-lib masters, as we told you. So up next, we have the privilege of speaking with Russ, who plays a character named Marvin, who's actually affiliated with both of the characters that are feeling each other out to see if they want to form a relationship. So welcome to the show, Russ. Thank you for joining us this evening. How are you?
Yes.
I'm okay. Glad to be here.
We're so glad to have you. First of all, we'd like to thank you for your excellent work in the film, playing
Excellent.
a character pitted against, two people that have feelings for each other can sometimes get uncomfortable. But your character has a way of being a sharpshooter and just telling everybody what you feel, which actually adds a nice little comical spice to the film. And I'd like to ask you, in your character as Marvin, did you pull from your own true personality, or did you just make this dude completely up?
Well, it was a little bit of both. The reality is that you got to be brutal honest with yourself sometime in relationships.
That is an excellent point. And the poetess already knows I pretty much just open up and do an intro and ship to her. So I'm gonna let her rock your mind for a second. Poetess, please.
Yes. Hey, Russ, thanks again for joining us on You Betta Think. We really appreciate you taking
Oh,
out, taking your time out to, do this interview.
no problem.
So as the character, Miss Velma's friend, you did give her great advice about being honest. Do you feel that Miss Velma was wrong for not telling Curio right away that she was like married?
Well, yeah, a lot of times relationships are complicated. And, I think, from my perspective, a lot of times you got to be truthful from the beginning, and then let the chips fall where they may.
Right. Is this from your own experience that you're speaking like this, or experiences that you have seen, like disasters in other relationships?
Well, I have to be honest, I have experienced some of this, firsthand. So I'd be lying if I say I did.
Right. Okay. Now, do you feel like Velma was scared to tell Curio about her marriage, or do you feel like Velma feels like she could just take care of everything before, the drama starts?
Well, she might have been afraid, like it's a win-loss analysis, and she didn't think she was going to be able to sustain a relationship by telling the truth. So she didn't tell the truth. And a lot of times that can backfire on you.
Right, right. So let me ask you a question. Like, in relationships, we know that, sometimes we don't tell the truth in the beginning, and it kind of, can backfire on you. What advice can you give the audience about being honest and truthful and straightforward in the beginnings of a relationship?
Well, I believe, in these days, you just have to be honest, because you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised what the other person will accept, in terms of the truth. So you might well be honest from the beginning.
That is true. Do you think that sometimes maybe the person that's holding the secret feels like they're not just afraid, but that they don't want to lose a person, or they want to be in control of the situation?
Well, I just think they don't want to lose the person. The person might give them a feeling that they're not experiencing their own relationship that they don't want to lose.
Right. And you were friends with both parties. You were friends with both people. Did you feel like you were stuck in the middle, and that at some point you had to like choose a side?
Well, I personally didn't feel like I was in the middle because I'm not in a relationship in either party. But a lot of times you're holding information that's crucial to either one of their feelings. So I guess you can be saying you in the middle. And it really, sometimes it's not a good feeling.
Right. Right. And being stuck in the middle is not a good feeling. You bring up a valid point, because it's like, what do I do? I'm stuck in the middle. Like, I know both of these people, right?
Right.
So
Right.
it's like, you don't want to get blamed. One person, like, oh, like when Curio, she was like, how come you ain't tell me this girl had a veil? Like, how did you feel about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I understand, but it's not my responsibility to tell somebody else's truth. But you can't be made to feel like you wasn't honest to both parties and you was withholding information. So
Right.
it can feel like kind of like you was a traitor to both people.
Okay. All right. Right here. You heard it right here on You Betta Think. We'll be right back. Don't be a zombie. Don't be a zombie. Don't be a zombie. You better think. You better think. Use your mind. You better think. So, Russ, we would like to thank you for joining us on You Betta Think. I loved how you answered the questions, and I would like to invite you back on the show. How do you feel about that?
No problem. It was a pleasure.
All right, now you heard it right here on You Betta Think, hosted by Cass Allen and the poetess Chanelle. Don't be a zombie. Don't be a zombie. Don't be a zombie. You better think. You better think. Use your mind. You better think.
Welcome back to You Betta Think, hosted by Cass Allen and the wonderful poetess Chanelle. This evening, as you already know, we're discussing relationships, and we have the perfect film to talk about, which basically explores all kinds of relationships, named The Rendezvous. You've already heard from a couple of the wonderful people starring in the film, and now we're on to the next. The wonderful Katie Cuevas plays a role in the film named Kitty Cat. She is actually dating, and she's not afraid of any competition, which makes her quite interesting character when it comes to relationships. So let's welcome to the air, Katie Cuevas. Welcome, Katie. How are you today?
Hi, I'm well. Thank you for the little intro.
Oh, it's not little, it's big. This film is a big deal, and you're all a big deal. It's very, very interesting. Excuse me. Just to
Yes.
dive right into my one and only question for you. Your character, did you pull from real life events when you were doing the ad-libbing, or did you have to make the entire character up?
Definitely, I pulled from real life events. And even if they're my own experiences, it's probably experiences I've heard of others in the relationship. And it doesn't matter what relationship it was. So definitely I pulled from that. And even if I didn't never expressed it the way I did in the film verbally, while I was in the same similar situation, maybe I was thinking it. So perhaps, playing that character allowed me to express verbally what I would have said and maybe perhaps said situations. So yes, definitely pulled from real life experiences.
And as always, the poetess Chanelle, what's going through your head during this discussion?
A lot. A lot.
Please give us 2 or 3 minutes.
All right. So, Kitty Cat, Miss Cuevo, I have a question for you. When Curio told you that she was interested in someone else and she was feeling someone else, why did you still insist on trying to get with Curio?
Yes, so if I'm speaking about that character now, personally, I probably would have said, bye. I'm not fighting over this. Oh, really? You with someone? Okay. And then probably on my own, I would have thought about it more, or would have thought of giving a fight. But I have a lot of people close to me, for whatever reason. Either they felt like they were truly in love with the person, they were happy that they finally found this person, and they feel like they had to fight for it, or maybe simply they just love the competition and was appalled that anyone that was with them would think of being with anyone else. And then also, sometimes when you find out sudden news, it makes you behave in a way that you normally wouldn't. So I think that's why I would have fought the way I did, or spoken that way. I think it's very realistic in some cases that I wouldn't have cared
Right,
who the person was with. Yeah, I would have kept on, tried
right.
to obtain that person. Yes.
So, Kitty Cat, do you feel, Miss Cuevas, do you feel like Kitty Cat, your character, when you were in character, do you feel
Hmm.
like, yes, I feel like I don't care. I don't care if Curio is with somebody. I want to claim Curio to be mine. Did you feel like that when you were playing the character?
Yes, yes, because it probably was the first time of her. It kind of solidified that, wow, Curio was really with someone. It probably made her feel a certain way. So at that moment, it didn't matter who it was. And then she probably was basing it off the energy of what she was getting from the other woman also. Like, oh no, I'm standing up for mine. Oh, you're calling me oh, really? So I think it was really in that moment for her. And then maybe later on, she probably would have thought she really would have went that far. But yeah, when you get news like that and it catches you off the side, you never know how you're gonna act. So I think that was true, like naturally, the correct reaction. Like, oh no, no, Curio's mine. And she probably
Okay.
liked them too. They had a nice time.
Right, right.
Yes.
You heard it right here, ladies and gentlemen, on You Betta Think, hosted by Cass Allen and the poetess Chanelle. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Thank you, Kitty Cat, for joining us and giving us this delightful interview.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
You better think. 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 Are you a zombie? Oh, wait, wait, wait. Don't stop. Are you a zombie? Use your mind. Don't be a zombie. You better think. Don't be a zombie. Don't be a zombie. Don't be a zombie. You better think. You better think. Use your mind. You better think. You better think.
Well, we'd like to thank you for joining us for this month's episode of You Betta Think, hosted by Cass Allen and Poetess Chanelle. As you heard, we discuss relationships from several perspectives. As we mentioned, it's not just about intimacy with someone that you like on a sexual basis, but relationships are basically what life is formed from. Um, Everybody has different viewpoints, as you hear, depending on what role you're playing. There's plenty of conversation to be had, I believe, by the things we've heard today. I'd like to thank all of our guests, the wonderful Bettye Williams, who plays Raquel in the movie The Rendezvous, Terrance Russ, who plays Marvin in the movie, and also Katie Cuevas, who plays Kitty Cat in the movie. We also have the wonderful poetess Chanelle, who plays Velma Faze in the movie. Again, it's called The Rendezvous. The THE Rendezvous. RENDEZVOUS. Thank you for joining us again. We're going to close the show out with a piece that I actually did last year, which we're having a little fun with relationships. As always, thank you for listening. Please share the show links. All of our episodes are available on demand. And again, we encourage you to think and don't be a zombie. We out. So another thing that always interests me is when people first meet. Whether it's that first day, hour, moment, week, let's say within that first 30 days, usually of getting to know each other, you may sniff each other out and think you want a round 2 or round 3. Then you reach a point where you don't want any more rounds. And I'm talking about those cases where you really haven't gotten deep into each other. You decide, let's just be friends, or let's not talk at all, or whatever it is. You basically usually transition from that I'm interested in you to I'm not interested in you in a mature fashion that usually goes off basically fairly smoothly. Let's fast forward to a situation where a relationship has been ensuing for, let's say, 4 or 5 years, and one of you reaches a point where you decide that you no longer wish to team up with the other. The parting words don't usually go as amicably or professionally as they do in the beginning, in that first 30 days when you part words. Usually by this point, even if you're trying to play it cool, you typically do some subliminal stuff or subtle stuff that you drop on your social media pages, or you outright try to kick the person's ass when they try to leave you, or create an assault moment. Some of you stalk, some of you create harm, some of you don't know what no is past that 30 days, apparently. See, what's interesting for me is before that 30 days hits, we understand it all, and we have the right etiquette, and we behave ourselves properly when we decide that this is not working. Whether we say it or someone else, we might turn our nose up, throw a couple of stoops out there, but generally we handle it well. But once we've gone past certain points, like I said, into the year spectrum, some of us tend to act like we have no upbringing, we know nothing about civilization, and we're going to wreak havoc as this person tries to leave us. Now, I'm not too sure why, because I'm one of those people who conducts myself the same way in the 30-day goodbye as I do in the 4-year goodbye. I believe that if two people aren't working together, we got to figure this shit out so we both get out alive. Basically, I tell people, treat it like when you go shopping at the grocery store and you walk down the aisles. That first visit is those 30 days. You pick up stuff, some of it goes in your cart, some of it you pass by in the grocery store, some of it you pick up, some of you even open the packages, eat some of that stuff, taste it right there on the spot, and you keep it moving, right? You come back to that same supermarket every week and you're getting your favorite grocery 4 or 5 years. Then suddenly you take it home and it doesn't taste the same anymore. You no longer want it. You don't destroy that grocery. You don't put it up for spectacle behavior on social media. You don't do anything outrageous. You just simply say, this no longer serves my purpose. And it's time to move on. And I know some of you are thinking, oh, you think it's so simple. Emotions are involved. The only reason those emotions are involved is because we involve them. We really need to learn to take them out sometimes. Most of us would make better decisions if we just treat everything like math. If she is not making me happy, I am not making her happy. 1 + 1 is making a very, very messy and very, very ugly 2 that no longer even looks like a 2 because the math is not working. It's time to recalculate, people. You don't break the pencil and tear the paper up. You just erase it and you start over. Just do math so you can be civilized. Do math so you can stop making an ass out of yourself. Do math so you can walk away with some class and tact. Math is not as hard as it seems. Do it, feel good about your position, your decision, and walk away. And move on to the next math problem. Next breakup, think about math. They're either attracting or deducting. Pick one.
You better think. You better think. You better think.
Right.
Are you a zombie? Oh, wait. Don't stop. Are you a zombie? Use your mind. Don't be a zombie.